Did Paul expect Gentiles to keep the Torah? Absolutely not. Now, that's how most people would answer. After all, Paul championed the view that Jesus abolished the Torah and nailed it to the cross. Thus, most people believe that Paul emphasized that the Torah no longer has a role in the life of Christians. Actually, Christians keeping the Torah might be spiritually dangerous, many would say. Now, some would see things a little bit differently by suggesting that Paul thought keeping Torah was okay for Jews, but not for Gentiles. But here's a problem with both of these viewpoints. Paul teaches a lot of Torah to Gentiles in his letters. So let's return to my original question. Did Paul expect Gentile Christ followers to keep the Torah? Well, I'll give you a good Jewish answer. Yes and no. So let's start with the no. So for Paul, the death and resurrection of Jesus was God's way of transforming pagan Gentiles into holy members of God's family. Of crucial significance for Paul, these Gentiles didn't need to become Jews to worship Israel's God or belong to Abraham's family. In fact, insisting that Gentiles live fully as Jews would blur Paul's radical claim that Israel's God is also the God of the nations. So Paul did not want Gentiles to keep Torah as if they were Jews, because that would undermine the prophetic sign that Gentiles can belong to God as Gentiles. And yet, Paul still taught his Gentile Christ followers a lot of Torah. We see this throughout his letters. Paul uses the Torah to teach Gentile Christ followers to avoid idolatry, uphold sexual purity, and even keep the feast of Passover. The famous verse, 2 Timothy 3:16, communicates a major emphasis of Paul's that the Torah is useful for correcting and training Christ followers in righteousness. So while Paul didn't expect Gentiles to become Jews, he did expect them to align their lives with the commandments in the Torah that applied to them. That's why it's helpful to think of Paul as a teacher of Torah to the Gentiles. Well, why does this matter today? Well, it matters because Christians miss something vital when they dismiss the Torah as a source of spiritual growth. Paul believed that learning from the Torah deepens our walk with God. Even more, when Christians embrace the Torah's wisdom, it creates bridges with Jews and Judaism, opening the door for shared learning, mutual respect, and healing. Today, more and more Christians are discovering the beauty and relevance of learning Torah from Jewish voices. And there's wisdom Jews can gain from thoughtful engagement and study with Christians as well. So did Paul expect his Gentiles to keep the Torah? Yes, he did. But he expected them to do so while embracing their identity as members of the nations who've come alongside Israel in God's family. Hey, if you'd like to learn more about Paul and his Jewish and Greco-Roman context, check out my book, The Weird Apostle. You can find it on Amazon, and don't miss out on any of my new content by subscribing wherever you're watching or listening. And if you'd like to learn more about how to build bridges between Jews and Christians, check out bridgebuildersforum.com.